So, you didn't ask for this. You were blackmailed, coerced, forced, extorted, or lied to. But whatever the reason, you didn't want to join Gaiad's war, but you did. You had to. You marched for days, trudging through snow and ice to this keep in the north, full of innocents waiting for you to slaughter them. But you didn't. You broke against their walls, and then, when the fight raged at its fiercest, your king changed. He became a terrible monstrosity of gargantuan size, and you could not stay. You fled, running until your legs gave out, and then you ran some more. You fled south, and somehow the three of you found one another, mercifully sharing a fire and warmth and the companionship to allow you to survive. You've been walking for maybe 2 days now, trying to get south, but it's slow going. You ran into the forest, and now you're lost. You could be anywhere. You don't recognize your surroundings, though at the edge of the forest you find the cliffs laid out to the east, and the sea kind of stretching beyond that, and you know that you must be somewhere in the northeast, but where exactly you're unsure. Describe to me, each of you, please, what your character would be doing while traveling, how they would be acting, what they might be doing to ensure that they make it the right direction. We'll start with C.
Of course. Quinn is quiet for most of the journey, only speaks whenever spoken to, and sometimes not even then. She's kind of turned in on herself for the most part and only really responds to like direct verbal commands where like someone has grabbed her attention first. And so like if are we sitting at a campfire, you said?
Yeah.
So she would just kind of be like sitting huddled and like staring into the flames, not really paying attention to anything.
Very nice. What about Dan?
So he's ranger by trade and familiar with, overland and rough terrain and the rest of it, and he's probably been in and around these parts between these savage highlands and the cold forests and the rest of it. He was a bit of like a mercenary for Gaiad, or like a little bit more specialist than a normal soldier. He would like be sent to find people, not necessarily alone as a group or as a team, but so he was prepared to run, or prepared to leave when everything went awful, as he knew it would at some point. So he is mostly, doing his job and leading them and preparing things as he knows how, but his mind is elsewhere because he's on thoughts of the reason why he was in Gaiad's service in the first place, the people he left behind.
Very nice. And finally, Jade.
So Bryn's not really used to traveling in the woods like this. She's more of a city dweller, so she's probably a little extra on edge at different sounds and things going on. She's definitely watching over her shoulders and trying her best to keep an eye out to make sure that they're not being followed. Checking to make sure her armor is fitted correctly. sharpening her sword, just really, she's afraid they're being followed.
And as if to highlight that, you're all sitting around the campfire. It's evening and night is drawing in, and I'd like you all to make perception checks, please.
This is gonna be great.
So my question is, did anyone beat a 5?
Yes.
I would have if I hadn't given myself disadvantage.
Oh, good.
I managed. No, not spectacularly, but I did.
Right.
Yeah, I did not.
Oh my
Oh my
god.
god.
I'm unsettled by Quinn's eyes, I'm sure.
I got a 14, which is +6 from my terrible roll.
Guys,
Yeah, like the campfire is probably like
super light,
reflecting
apparently.
off of it's like reflecting off of like the milky white eye, and so it looks like the one eye is like glowing red in like the firelight, and like so Brent's is probably all like
No. Alright. So as you sit there, somehow only he hears the sounds of someone stumbling through the woods. They are whimpering and they're like stamping on twigs. They're not trying to hide. And they're kind of crashing through the underbrush towards the campfire. What would you like to do?
So yeah, imagine he's sort of sitting hunched on the edge of the firelight, and then he's sort of almost like his ears prick or something, and he like looks into the darkness, and then he just kind of, there's like a hiss, sharp whisper, eyes up, and he's like, he does the whole point at his eyes and then point to the distance that he thinks it's coming in.
Yeah.
And he like the bow is unslung quietly, and can I like move and stealth into outside the firelight? Like
Absolutely. Make stealth check.
That is a 17.
Okay.
And he's just in the tree line.
Yep. So 17 is going to be a success for this. So for as long as you want in this encounter, you're hidden.
Cool.
And so as you're kind of, you prepare yourself and move into a hidden kind of stealthy position, the others kind of turn and maybe look at what you're doing, and begin peering in the direction that you were indicating. And from there, you kind of begin to make out a figure. You see silver and blue tabard that's being like ripped, and kind of reveals some piecemeal leather and studded armor as this bedraggled looking man kind of comes stumbling towards you. The first thing you notice is he is covered head to toe in blood. His hand is missing on his left arm, and he has no weapon that you can see. He looks to have been in sort of the rank and file, and is just sort of like stumbling, clutching his severed wrist and moaning and whimpering as he stumbles towards the camp.
Bryn will stand and draw her sword. Stay where you are.
He looks up as though he didn't even expect you to be there, and he stops, and he doesn't say anything. He just stares at you and sort of makes this strangled, fearful noise.
Quinn is giving him the 1,000-yard stare, like past him, but doesn't say anything to him.
He says, "Your fire! Put out the fire! Put out the fire!" And he begins like stumbling towards it. They'll see you. They'll see you.
me listening in, can I like turn my attention from him, who doesn't seem much of a threat, and start like listening out into the middle distance?
Okay, I'll take another perception check then.
Do. 12 this time, because rolling is for losers.
Good to know.
Whenever this uniformed soldier comes up and starts trying to quench the fire, Quinn will like raise a hand and we'll use prestidigitation to put it out.
Okay, so the flames die down. He says, Good. They're watching. They can see us. And he's like whispering frantically and like kind of cowering next to the fire. You have to hide.
I'm sorry. Who are you?
And you see him like have to think for a moment about his name. There's a Marcus Trill. Marcus, please hide. And you hear like a sort of faint like animal noise, maybe a fox baying or an owl hooting or something, and he whimpers and like cowers. Oh God.
Oh no. I'm still taking vigil and trying to track what these noises are and if they seem real to me. Leaving them to deal with this guy at the minute.
As far as you know, that was a real
Okay.
owl, we'll say.
He's still like bow drawn. Or...
Yeah. Arrow knocked.
Mm-hmm.
And Marcus will sort of look up at you all, say, you need to keep moving. They can smell you. And he begins like climbing to his feet again. You see he's like really pale beneath the dried blood on his face. Like he is, he is gonna die very soon. Yes, he's bleeding out as he runs, basically.
Presuming I'd like, I don't know, put down a pack or something. I'm gonna like relax the bow for a second, step out, and tell the other two, we should move.
He jumps
and then like ignoring him, and then just start moving, the opposite direction to which the noise are coming in.
Quinn will immediately get up and start following Heath.
Do we want to give ourselves an advantage?
He kind of stops and half turns. What do you mean?
He's not going to last much longer.
No. And he he's not saying no, like no, yes. He's just raised an eyebrow, like quickly wondering where you're going with this.
You don't have to be the fastest one in the group, right? You just have to outrun one of them.
Laura the Wild.
And I'll hamstring the guy.
All right, well, make an attack roll. He's going to be trying to get away from you.
It's 19 on the die, and since I'm a champion...
Gosh, his legs. No. You just slice across the backs of his thighs, and he just screams in agony, just this terrible, shrill scream that echoes around the forest.
When he starts screaming, Quinn is going to kind of like stiffen and like she's going to cast Mage Armor on herself. And then she's going to turn to Bryn, who just, attacked a uniformed soldier. And like her hands will start to glow with like a bit of flame.
If I catch you doing that, I hiss at you, Phobos.
And the flames will lower and she hands go limp to her sides.
And then he kind of like whistles and like motions you over to him to like before he starts walking away again.
So as this happens, there's this strange kind of haunting noise that rings up from behind you. It's a wolf howling. Ooh. And then you hear it in stereo from, if you're facing north, it's from south and southeast and southwest. It's a pack. And they all begin howling together, the scent of blood in their nostrils.
We need to move. I don't think we can outrun them, but we need to find somewhere we can put rocks to our back.
Lead the way.
I shall do so.
Okay.
So he's trying to look for a defensible place because he doesn't know if they can outrun the pack or if that distraction of fresh meat is going to last very long. But
Very well. You can make a survival check.
yay! 18.
18. Okay, yeah. You see that the forest, kind of to your east, the forest stops and kind of makes, like, it kind of turns into plains in the cliffs, and just sort of a bit beyond that, you see that there is a kind of large rock formation that sort of juts out that could potentially provide cover on three sides if you needed it to.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from that, you see trees with sort of slightly higher branches that, if you could climb them, might protect you. And of course, there's the cliffs themselves.
Is the cliff top like super exposed?
Yeah, the majority of it is, but there is, like, as I say, there's like rocky sections further up.
Yeah. I think he might actually try for the trees because they're trying to run. It doesn't seem very sensible to go and stand on the top of a cliff. Yeah, so I think he's going to aim to try and try for those trees, but maybe with being close to the cliff face, so not the top, but like in case they need to like back off.
All right, sure. So then it's just going to be an athletics check, DC 13, to climb it.
I make it.
Okay. So you're able to kind of scamper up the tree.
I'll
What
help
the other two
whoever's coming next,
Yeah,
maybe.
you can have advantage if you're climbing up after him, and he can help you.
Won't need it. Got a dirty 20 on my athletics. As Quinn like quickly shimmies up the tree like after Heath.
What
An
about Bryn?
18.
18. All right. So you all kind of get up this tree, and it's quite a big sort of conifer. So the branches are quite close together near the top, so you got to kind of like wiggle your way through, but you get a reasonable height up, and you wait. And as you wait, you begin to hear the fearful, frenzied, pleading cries of Marcus as he just like screams, and then after a while, a couple of minutes maybe, the screams stop. And you
Didn't
see,
shout any helpful, like, oh god, there's 12 of them. Oh god.
no, it was more just sort of, please, no, please, type thing. Before he was in so much pain that he couldn't form words anymore.
And Quinn
And
will
so
kind of like look to Heath whenever the screams stop and ask, do I need to go take care of him?
He like shakes his head, looking at you.
But
Some
he's
men
dead.
fall so others can live.
She doesn't like quite like connect with the platitude afterwards, but like you said no, and so she kind of like settles again.
And there's this sort of chill wind that blows through the trees, almost like the forest itself is telling you that someone's just died. And you all kind of have that shiver like someone just walked over your grave. And you sit in a tree, kind of more exposed to the wind up here, so it's colder. And 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes, 15, still nothing. An hour.
Do we hear like howls getting
No,
slightly
it
in the
is
distance? Nothing.
definitely silent.
Hmm.
No birds, no animals moving. Seems like after the wind blew through that once, it stopped. The trees don't even sway.
What time is it?
It's getting late. You're up north, so the day doesn't last long, but
Okay.
it's getting quite dark.
Are we able to sleep in the tree, or do I get a sense that we need, fire to stay alive? Is it that cold?
It is springtime, so you'd probably be alright, but it would be a very, very uncomfortable night.
Mm-hmm.
And you would most likely be gaining a point of exhaustion after a constitution saving throw.
He's happy to give it a little while longer to see if anything happens, but then we could maybe check the cliff front or something if there's some sort of cave or outcropping or something that might offer us more protection.
Yeah, sure. So maybe you wait another half hour, another hour.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing comes. You make your way over to the cliff. Is everyone going?
Coin would make two, unless Heath told her to stay behind.
Yeah, he'd have you follow.
Well, I'm not going to be the only one in a tree.
So you head to the cliff, and looking out, you see that sort of rocky outcropping that you saw before, and beneath it, a little ways down the cliff, maybe accessible via a small amount of scrambling, there is a sort of inlet in the cave, or in the cliff, like a cave, that may provide some resistance from the wind.
We have a toss-up. Either stay cold and maybe safe, or stay slightly warmer and maybe safe.
Either way, it's only maybe safe.
Given the circumstances, that's about the best I can offer.
I'd rather be warm and die than freezing and die.
Warm and die it is, and he'll make his way, begin scrabbling or whatever towards this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I won't make you roll for it. It's fairly easy if you sort of just pick your way through slowly. And you can make it down, and it's a very, very shallow cliff. Maybe only like 12 feet deep, or cave even, not cliff. Kind of 12 feet deep, so it provides some protection and resistance from the wind, but it's not as good as if it went all the way in and was like a house. But you can build a small fire and warm yourselves during the night. I'm assuming there's a watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
In what order would that be?
I can take first if you want.
Quinn can go second.
Last watch it is.
Oh. So that night passes. Each of your watches goes without a hitch, and the morning you watch the morning sun kind of rise over the sea from your vantage point on the cliff, and you find that everything's kind of slick with dew. Like all your clothes are kind of wet, and there's a serious wind chill that kicks in as the day is sort of blustery, and the seas are kind of choppy, crashing against the cliff below you. But you climb your way up back to the forest. In which direction would you like to head? Just continue moving south?
That's. Are we kind of on the path back to Boulogne, or like?
Sort of. If you imagine the area you're in, like the path, or if you imagine it sort of as a compass, right?
Eastern Cliffs, right? You said?
Yeah, you're at the East Cliffs, which means that you're sort of like you're on the way back to Boulogne, but you are going a long way around. Like
Okay.
there is a path through the center going south, but you're not there.
Yeah, I think it's probably best to stay. The long route is cool. I mean, Heath knows he has some unfinished business with Boulogne, and he probably presumes the others do too. But you kind of can't go unless we're to go in extreme direction. Most things are south, so
Yeah.
he'll carry on that route.
So how are you traveling? Are you sticking to the cliff to make sure you head south, or are you kind of heading back further inland where the wind might be less? What's your plan?
The cliff offers quite good sight lines, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I think stay some time on the cliff, follow it down, and see if we can spot, either like the dust clouds of marching armies or the fire burning somewhere or smoke of war.
So you see a lot of smoldering fires, but they are old. You can tell that an army aside from Balern's army has moved through here. It looks like hundreds of people could have passed through over the past couple of days, and you see evidence from a distance of large amounts of people. Like maybe a broken cart or something left behind. That sort of indicates, a large exodus through this area.
Also heading south or going north?
Hard to tell.
Right.
Though, if the cart, if the direction the cart's facing is any indication, which could be or could be not, it looks like it's going north.
Maybe he thinks there's reinforcements going or something.
Could be, but you didn't. You know that Guy had pretty much sent everyone in the first wave.
Okay.
Like as far as you know, there are no reinforcements.
What do you make of it? Seems other people were passing on this road not that long ago.
Fleeing the battle?
I'm not sure. I think they might have been even going north.
Fleeing Balern while the king's away. Like Quinn will say with her head cocked kind of confusedly.
He kind of nods at your reply. Lucky bastards. And then he's going to start, sort of slowly walking and talking. So, do you have anything keeping you at Boulogne?
No.
No. Okay.
But it doesn't mean I don't want to go back.
Fair enough. And he kind of almost forgets himself or something, and turns to Quinn, and then there's a bit of a sad smile as he looks at her, and you're not even registering small talk or something. And he kind of like swallows and then well, probably a good choice we took the scenic route. We should be there in some time. Good time, hopefully. There's a few things I need to get.
Heath, what's your passive perception?
16, I think. Let me go look at the sheet. I meant to put it on the thing, but obviously I didn't.
Alright.
Yes, 16.
Okay. In which case I will ask for a perception check from you then as you're walking. It's probably about noon at this point, I imagine.
15.
Okay. Everything seems fairly calm to you. Almost like the calm that comes after a great storm, not before. And there's not this buzz of anticipation. It's almost like a feeling of dread and sort of remorse that hangs in the air. And you've got this sort of sad, tired feeling that aches through your bones and through your mind as you just feel flashes of the battle. You see that enormous draconic form of Gaiad burst forth again. You watch as monsters from the woods tear apart your soldiers, your comrades. See nothing. Nothing happens as you continue south. Another day comes and goes, and another, and you begin to feel quite weary, almost as though the travel through the north is more draining than it should be. Like everything that's happened to you is sort of weighing on you, slowing you down, and making things take longer, feel more difficult. And as you travel, you see one day a sight. We'll say it's 2 days on from your encounter with Marcus. You see a sight that you've registered before, but you haven't sort of picked up on its strangeness until now. Maybe your mind's been elsewhere. But it looks like there's some kind of bird circling you very, very high up. And now that you come to think of it, you've been seeing that bird for the last 2 days.
So I imagine maybe like everyone's looking a bit weary or something, and before he looks up and sees that bird again, he's just like, "So the old bastard was a dragon after all." I try to get some sort of raise or smirk or something out of somebody, and then he just like spots the bird go over in the distance again. He kind of follows it. And when it, like, maybe when it sort of disappears outside behind a cloud or something, I think we're being followed by those monster people.
Could you be more specific? There were a lot of monster people in this world.
The beast ones, the druids. There's a bird following us. I'm pretty sure it's been the same one for days now. I would say we should go into the woods to hide from it, but that's where they live, so...
A lone creature circling us, following us for days.
I mean, I think so.
Are you sure it's the same one? They all look the fucking same to me.
I mean, from what I could see, like, this isn't like vulture country. It's not
No,
like carry-on
it
birds.
looks
Like,
it looks it looks like a hawk,
it's not a.
but
I
same
have.
size as you've seen the whole time.
Hmm.
A hawk the whole time.
I mean, I have a little bit of experience with the flora and fauna of this world, and I think it's a hawk, but it's not its usual operation. It don't normally behave this way. We're too big to be to be of interest for it.
So you reckon keeping an eye on us until we're weak, or just watching what we're doing in general?
A bit of both. Watching until we slip up, maybe, and then whoever it's, hunting party or pack is with, can ambush us. Maybe you're surprised that we lasted this long.
Maybe it's a test. I've been through some of those.
He kind of like looks over to you, sadly. You won't be needing any more tests.
We'll see.
I hope not, anyway. I don't know what much to do, but just carry on.
The bird kind of continues circling you all the way to the end of the forest as it sort of turns to this wider, kind of open, kind of hilly plains with these sort of fens that sort of roll and spread out kind of quite far into the distance. The visibility is good up here, the air is quite clear. And the bird sort of continues following. Once you reach kind of the edge of the forest, sort of you've been walking with the forest on your right, and when those trees sort of come to an end, the bird kind of sinks slightly lower in the sky, almost as if coming in for a better look.
I mean, I'll try, get a better look at it, but I don't feel like shooting them. I feel that only leads to more heartbreak.
Yeah, I mean, as far as you can tell, it's a normal hawk. But it swoops lower and lower, and eventually sort of comes to land on a tree, sort of looking down at you with these kind of cruel eyes, kind of its head cocking to the side. Squawks as it looks at you.
But we're like on the edge of the forest now.
Yeah. So like before you there is no forest, maybe a couple copses
Okay.
of trees. Behind you is the full expanse of the forest.
I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to cast Speak with Animals.
Very well.
Because I believe, like, even if it is a normal bird, I believe that these druid people could probably just talk to it anyway. Even if it's not in its direct service. So
What would you like to say?
so it lasts for 10 minutes, but I won't need that long. I'm just going to say, know that not everyone who marched north wanted to, and not everyone those druids and those in the keep killed wanted to have their blood shed. We've done nothing to harm you. We just passed through.
Sort of blinks like a few times, and its head kind of darts about, as though like looking at you from different angles, trying to ascertain your true motives or whatever it might be. And it sort of like contemplates you for a moment, and then it just says in this kind of slow, kind of dignified, quiet voice, "The wolves have asked me to follow you." Sort of moves its head around.
I mean, I think this is all in like tweeting or whistling between us. But,
Yeah, I mean, you
yeah.
hear it maybe as a
Is
dignified
that?
voice.
Yeah.
Everyone else just hears it go like, "Wah!"
um, he kind of like considers that for a moment and is thinking that the wolves might have been hunting them for a long time. And he kind of like half turns away from it and goes, "Well, you're welcome to follow us further, but we'll have no part in whatever's going on there."
Sort of like blinks and kind of like scoots along the branch a little bit. "The wolves will find you soon enough."
If they must.
And it sort of it gives you like a weird sort of curious expression. Like in this creature's very limited understanding of the way the world works, there are predators and there are prey, and prey do not often accept the sort of advances of the predators. And so if you just say something like that, kind of confuse it slightly. And it kind of just cocks its head. But they will. And it sort of like clicks its beak. They will kill you.
I'm sure there's much easier pickings in the other direction.
They have come too far. And you imagine if the hawk could be smiling, it would at this point. They are closer to you than other pickings.
He looks back up at the bird, sort of standing side onto it. I guess we best put some more distance between us then.
It squawks in what sort of maybe reminds you slightly of laughter. Shakes its head imperceptibly to the others, but you can understand the gesture. This will not help. Stretches its wings in preparation for flight.
Yeah, he's sort of smirks as well. Like I said, he doesn't act like prey because he isn't. He's something else to nature. And he sort of turns from the bird, and then, like breaking from the bird's speech, he'll say to the others, "The wolves are still on us. By the sounds of it, they won't give up, even out of the woods. We best find somewhere to hole up."
Guess best we know, we can prepare for them.
I think that Quinn is like staring at Heath, like with her head like tilted to the side, much like the bird had been doing, like trying to figure out that he had been talking to the bird, and doesn't make any sense in like her like addled mind.
because he's awesome. I, so we're kind of like in more sort of open like heathland, or
Yeah.
we need to find a farmhouse or something with solid walls. I don't know how far behind those walls are.
You remember, sort of on your way up, that there is a farmstead, or an old farmstead. It was shut down, and the people left because Berlin sort of stifled and stamped out all trade. But you reckon that maybe another day and a half down into Berlin might get you there.
Okay. We should move quick. He's going to try like quicken the pace now they're in flatter country.
Yeah, and travel is much easier in this kind of terrain. You find that you're not stumbling and having to navigate through trees. It's much you can go in a much straighter line as the bird flies, and you see on the second day again that farmhouse kind of rising in front of you. However, you also see kind of turning back that that hawk still flies above you.
There's not much he can do to outrun a hawk. So he's just looking to try and move as safely as possible from possible wolf
Yeah.
threats.
And so when you arrive at the farmhouse, you see that the walls are sort of, a lot of them are kind of dilapidated and crumbling in some places.
I thought you said the wolves. I was like, crumbly
have beaten you
wolves.
there. No, the
I
walls are
totally
kind
thought you said that too.
sorry. The ceiling has partially collapsed in one sort of corner, and the paddock is all kind of ruined and destroyed, but for the most part is still standing.
So, like, is the door still on its hinge? Has it got
Door
many
is still on
windows?
its hinge. There's no windows. It's just kind of a small kind of barn farmhouse. But the light that you can kind of see streaming in is this sort of through the collapsed ceiling and broken wall. And inside it looks pretty bad. There's crumpled furniture, a couple of rat skeletons, and just sort of, it looks as if it's been abandoned for a while.
Okay. Rat skeletons. So there's a hole in one wall and a hole in the ceiling.
Yeah.
But it's better than just open plains. I think we could hold up here. We might be able to find something to put over those holes.
There is a lot of just like broken and splintered wood around, both inside and outside. You reckon it'd be quite easy to plug up a lot of the holes?
If we have some more daytime, and if the others are amenable, I think.
About noon.
Yeah, might try patch up some of the holes defensively or something so we can rest in it safely.
Yeah, once it's made apparent what Heath is trying to do with the barn, Quinn will ritual cast Tensor's floating disc to help transport the wood from around into the barn where it can be hammered up and what have you.
Yeah, awesome. So you guys can kind of fairly easily fix up this place to where, there's no huge gaps, there's no spaces that someone could climb in through, or even break in through. It would be, or even breaking in would be kind of difficult. But you find that it's a reasonably comfortable place to live or to stay for a short time. After a while of working, you see that there is a like you kind of move some broken furniture inside, and this black cat sort of darts out and like kind of scurries away and kind of watches from the shadows for a while you repair the house, but eventually begins sort of purring and kind of rubbing up against your leg. Each of you just sort of happy to have human contact again.
I don't get the sense. It's not acting standoffish. Well, more than the cat normally would be, or something. But I don't get the sense that it's necessarily.
No, you think this is probably like the farm cat,
Okay.
and it was just left behind.
Inside the cat. Okay. Yeah. So try as best I can. I think to set
What's
up.
Bryn doing during this?
What? Oh, Brent.
Bryn.
She'll help hang boards and things like that as need be. But she's definitely like scooting the cat away from her.
When it comes up to rub against Quinn, she's gonna like stare at it for a few seconds and then kind of get this like kind of ghostly half smile on her face, and she's going to bend and pick it up and is going to like rub like the scarred half of her face across its black fur and kind of sit there and hold it, not
And
put it down.
it just like purrs, just enjoying kind of having someone to give it attention and care for it, and will sit on your lap, allowing you to sort of pet it for as long as you're there. Sort of it's clearly been starved of affection, is enjoying.
So what's
Okay,
her plan?
I thought Rob legged out then.
Sorry, maybe you start.
Go, Jake.
I was just saying, evening comes and you can sort of sit around and maybe have a small fire going.
So what's our plan going forward from this?
So, I don't know if you need me to make a check or anything, but I presume there is, if this is like the edge of the farmhouses, there's going to be, increasingly more.
Yeah, but
Society.
you know that the next one's probably about a day away.
Yeah. So I guess I'd draw out in the dirt or something, some sort of rough map of the coastline or something, and where Balearn is, and where the edge of the forest was, and where we are.
Yeah.
And like I estimate, I think there's another farmhouse or two, kind of this direction, about a day. I don't know how many wolves there are, but apparently they're hungry, and now they've set in for the hunt. They're not keen on turning around.
Is this normal behavior for wolves?
Hungry wolves, maybe?
There has to be easier prey.
That's what I told the bird. He's going to say that very matter-of-factly. Considering there was just a battle. But the bird said that they were too far away from that now, or missed the best of the pickings or something. It's to be believed.
So they'll follow us clear to the city.
If we can keep ahead of them, or keep in these farmhouses.
Do you know how many we should expect? How many travel in packs?
Great DM in the sky. How many would he roughly think would travel? Or can it vary too much?
4,000.
7,000 to 4,000 wolves.
Yeah. It depends. How long's a piece of string?
Mm-hmm.
I
don't know how big the pack is.
Yeah, you heard maybe 3 or 4, but that doesn't mean anything really.
Yeah. It could be any size. If they're in league with those druids, hunting down everyone who's in that fight, seems to me like a reason they would come this far out, and they could be, organized. It kind of says.
Fucking druids.
Yeah. They have their own thoughts about nature.
I mean, going from farmhouse to farmhouse till we reach the city is good, but what happens if we're out and there's not a farmhouse?
That's the big if, isn't it? I guess we fight, unless you have another idea.
Maybe we stay here for a couple days, let them catch up to us, set some traps,
You
thin the
make
pack.
make us stand here. We could do that.
I mean, we don't know that the other place is going to be any better supplied than this. This is pretty sturdy location.
No. I can't guarantee anything between here and Boulogne. And at Boulogne, all I can guarantee is misery. But
Yeah.
yeah, we could stay. We could fashion some, some spikes or some pit trap type things, or maybe rig some part of it to collapse on top of them.
I mean, this is as good a place as any to die, I guess.
Well, we either die or we eat well. Depending on how mangy those wolves are.
It's just a thought.
I'm up for it. How about you, Quiet One?
Like during your conversation, Quinn was one good eye. I was probably following the conversation back and forth, and so it'll kind of settle on Heath. And if we are to fight, it doesn't matter where to me.
Here it is then. Save us walking any further anyway.
Besides, here's where the cat is, and Quinn can go back to petting it.
Here's where the cat is. Although I imagine that cat will probably follow you.
Do you think?
Yeah.
That would be nice.
He or she seems to like you a lot.
Quinn will pick the cat up and look. It's a he.
I do think we have a name with the one shot that is here's where the cat is.
Yeah.
Right, well, is it getting too late to do work now, or is there a bit more chance to do anything?
Night is falling at this point, so you probably, you could do some now, but you'd have low visibility.
I might do something quick, which is if there's scraps and bits of wood and thatching and stuff from the repairs that we haven't really found purpose for, I might try pile them up so a distance from the door. So if the wolves are attacking the front door or something, I can kind of shoot an arrow and set it alight behind them, and they'll be trapped between us and the door and the fire.
Okay, yeah.
Cool.
You can kind of make almost a semicircle.
Mm-hmm.
Blocks it in slightly. Yeah. And so night comes and goes, and you awake the next morning. Thankfully, no sign of any wolves. What are your plans then? What would you like to try and achieve?
What's our food rationing situation? If we're going to starve out the wolves, we don't want to starve ourselves. So
yeah, so you guys probably have a good 2 weeks rations left. I imagine you sort of did a kind of grab and go during the battle,
Mm-hmm.
and so you've got enough food to last you a couple of weeks if you're sort of frugal with it.
So you were ready to settle in?
I think it's our best option.
All right then. Yeah. So I might try. You know where the holes are, or where we've kind of like supported them, but they might still be weak points. I want to set up some like sharpened stakes, so if they burst in through the top or through the hole in the wall, they're like immediately met by stakes. If I can hunt anything, like within eyesight or something of the barn.
There's not much. You can maybe get some rabbits.
Okay.
Make a survival check.
That is natural fucking 20 to hunt some rabbits.
Okay, yeah, you can find maybe 2 or 3 rabbits. Though you would know as a ranger that rabbit starvation is a very real thing.
Yep, I'm very aware of it, but maybe mixing it in some fresh meat with the rations would improve morale. So.
Yeah, that's probably its like main uses. Letting you feel hungry, warming you up a bit, but there's no real fat on rabbit meat, so it's not going to help keep you alive much longer.
Right. That's my plan for the day, I guess.
Well, what are the inns doing?
Trying to think of what kind of traps I could build.
Does Quinn spend the entire day just playing with the cat?
Well, she's got 50 feet of rope. If somebody wants to make snares out of it, no, not with her wisdom. She does not know how to make traps. So she would have the rope or whatever, but she'd be helping if and when anyone asked her for help. Otherwise, yeah, she'd be spending all of her time playing with the cat, like making it chase her mage hand around the barn. Otherwise, helping Quinn and Bryn, or Heath and Bryn.
Help yourself if you want to.
Yeah. Well, she does need some help, but it's professional help. I don't think she's gonna get in a barn in the middle of the hinterlands.
What's Bryn doing?
Well, I am proficient in survival, so I could try to make some types of traps. I'm not really a super wilderness gal, so I'm sure they're just going to be horrible traps. But
yeah, I mean, you can make some snares. You can make maybe rig something like above the door to fall if it's opened or something.
Yeah, let's try to rig something over the door and see if I can have enough time to make some snares or something later.
When Heath comes back in from hunting, he gets fucking clocked one. No,
Can I make a
We did a thorough investigation of the barn, and there's not any surrounding structures or anything like that. There's not any tool sheds or anything.
There's just all this previously tilled land sort of spread out around it that's kind of no longer worth anything.
Was this like a feed barn or whatever? There's not really.
It wasn't really a barn. It's more of a farmhouse.
Farmhouse, okay.
But it's quite big, and it's clearly this was a very poor farm. The soil's not that great. It's too cold and too hard up here to grow many crops. But
is there like a big cast iron stove or anything like that got left behind? Is it secured to the wall, or has it kind of rotted away from the wall some?
Yeah, you can move it.
Yeah. You can probably move it with again the floating disc at some point and use it to help shore up one of the weakened areas or whatever, or like act as a barricade in some other thing to try and make more of a funnel neck or something.
Yeah. And so you're all kind of sitting around the fire that evening, kind of shivering despite the heat, kind of in anticipation and in the chill of the north. And then things get much worse as you hear the sound that you've been dreading for days now, that seems to freeze the blood in your veins. Someone breaks the door. Oh yeah!
Remy goes charging in. That's what I was doing. But...
One of those wolves, just by looking at them funny at this point, there's so much damage. No, you hear the.
Little do we
ghostly
know it's not
howl.
actual like damage from like his weapons. It's just alcohol fumes coming off of him. That is like just burning everyone's like nose.
Remy is an AoE.
Like Pigpen, it's just a cloud of burning alcohol.
Turns out Byron hasn't been learning lots of new spells that make blue fire. It's just whenever he casts fire spells near Remy, it lights the alcohol that's just like exploding out of him. Anyway, thanks for interrupting my scene.
I'm sorry.
So yeah, you hear the ghostly howl of a pack of wolves kind of floating over the heathland.
I will cast mage armor on myself.
Well, let's hope we're as prepared as we need to be.
So
we're out of time.
I imagine Heath especially is probably like peering out of the window, or the window's kind of out of like a crack in the door or whatever.
I mean, yeah, I presume we boarded most of the window up, so I can still maybe like see or shoot out of them. So
yeah, and you see maybe a few hundred feet away the cadre of figures approaching. You see two tall humanoids walking kind of doggedly forwards, and they're surrounded by 5 trotting wolves. And every single one of the figures is sort of sniffing loudly as they sort of approach the barn, and the wolves begin to fan out slightly. And the 2 figures murmur to each other in a language you don't understand.
as they were like still a distance away, I would be like, "It's those damn druids." There's a couple of them leading a pack of wolves. He now knowing that there's druids there, presuming that they might do something, with their magics and their ways and things. He's going to say we need a way out if it comes to it. Make sure the window like opposite is weakened enough that we can get out.
Yeah, sure. We'll say there's like a window at the back that you could probably like dive through if you needed to.
Cool.
It looks just as boarded up.
Cool.
Quinn is gonna like kind of come up behind Heath, surprisingly quietly, and kind of mutter at his shoulders, like, "Are they the test?"
I think you say that, and there's like shudders of memory of him having witnessed people being tested in Boulogne. I don't think he himself necessarily went through, the kind of tests that you went through, but I think because he knows your attack words or whatever. I think he's seen people being tested and broken before, and he doesn't want to see that again. And then he has to admit, because it's just simpler for the way that you've been processed. Yes, this is the test.
And she'll just kind of nod and step away from the window.
And he's gonna, if you can see or something, he's going to like point out the. You said there were 2 druids, right?
2 druids.
Yeah, those are yours.
She nods again.
You see, as they approach, all kind of 5 of the wolves stop, and they kind of like stand stock still and begin growling. They're maybe 100 feet away. You see the 2 humanoids kind of nod and kind of hunker down, and you hear this sort of growling, spitting noise as both of them change their forms. You see one turn into this enormous wolf, not, but it's kind of like long armed and thin. It looks extremely fast, but also terrifyingly strong. The other figure turns into a much bulkier creature, and from what you can tell, it looks to be some kind of bear, but
Okay.
bigger. And the 7 creatures begin fanning out, with 3 of the wolves kind of trotting round the back and the sides of the barn.
Um.
You
I
can
mean,
act before they get there, though.
yeah, it's very obvious they know we're in here now.
Yeah.
So, he's gonna shout. What happens next is on your head. You could turn around and leave us now.
You get no response.
Boo.
Anything else you would like to do?
Like he would wait for a moment to see if there is any response, and then I guess he'll nod to the others, and he's going to like ready an action to ready to set that, that trap alight when they're, on it, around it, or any of them are there.
Yeah, definitely. And like as after a few seconds, you do see them like around the corner, and kind of come past the big stockpile of wood.
Well, if this is it, then he'll fire 1 arrow into that, the fire arrow into it to set that alight, and then try and get another one off, maybe into the bear.
Okay. I'll allow you to do that. So the kind of the wood hits the pyre and it spreads out, or the flaming arrow hits the pyre and it kind of spreads out and catches light. And you see one of the wolves kind of dodge back, and a couple of them sort of get singed and then jump back in, and there's this sort of whimpering noise, and they kind of amend their approach to come around it, and you've successfully kind of managed to split them up with 1 druid on either side, sort of looking at each other, unsure of how to proceed.
Okay.
Stop for a moment.
And I've done a little bit of damage.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as they're standing unsure or something, I guess I'm going to shoot the bear one.
Go for it, sir.
Okay, so this is my other shot for this turn. And that's a 19.
19 hits.
How far away are they? Could I have
100
hunters
feet.
marked on the bonus action first, or?
They're 100 feet away.
Oh, 100 feet. Okay, that's fair enough. So I shoot them. Has the bear taken any burn damage so I get my extra hunter stuff? Cool.
He did.
So that is 2d8. I technically have favored enemy humanoids, but they're not currently in humanoid form, so I presume that doesn't make a difference.
I'll be generous.
Okay. Oh, that's a good roll. 13, 17. 19 damage.
19. You see the arrow dig into it, and the bear kind of lets out this roar and snaps the arrow off in itself. You'd hoped that it would have hit harder.
Yep. Certainly hope it did.
And so, at this point, the other two of you can act, and then we will go into initiative.
Oh. Really? Okay. Cool.
They're basically using their turns to walk towards you, so you're going to get the opportunity to act in the meantime.
Sure. How the wolves are all with the werewolf, or did they split off as well?
So there is a druid on either side. There are two wolves, or three wolves, sorry, that are kind of coming around the sides to go around the back, and then the other two wolves, there's one on each side. So at this point, there are two wolves on each side, two druids on each side, and then three kind of making their way around the side.
In a 20-foot radius, how many can I get?
Maximum you could get would be two. Either two wolves, a druid and a wolf, or a druid and a wolf.
In that case, sorry.
No worries.
In that case, I'm just gonna firebolt at first.
Okay. What are you firebolting?
I'm going to firebolt the werebear that Quinn attacked, and that's a 19 on the die plus 7 for 26.
That hits.
Let's. How many d8? Damn it! I should have had. I did write this down. 2d10. 2d10. Somehow my dice have disappeared. There they are. I swear I've played D&D before.
Nice.
7 points of fire damage.
7 points.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Again, the wolf kind of, or the bear kind of roars and like shrugs it off and begins kind of picking up the pace to get to you sooner.
And for a bonus action, Quinn is going to cast Dragon's Breath on herself.
Oh, very nice.
And is there any that are... There's not any within a 15-foot cone. No, not yet. Okay. But she has that already as like kind of red flames kind of like crackle around like the side of her mouth, and like the kind of burn scars on like the side of her face kind of glow with the red embers.
So, what's Quinn doing? Fucking Bryn doing?
I'll take a shot with my crossbow.
Very well.
19 to hit.
Okay, 19 hits. Any of them. Is it the bear you're going for as well?
The not a bear druid.
Okay, the wolf.
Yes. And that's 9 points of piercing damage.
9.
Yeah.
Very well.
Now initiative.
Now initiative, please.
That will be 17 for Quinn.
I also have a 17.
I'm sure your dex is higher than mine.
+4.
Yeah, I'm a +3.
I got a 21.
Oh, damn.
Ooh, damn.
I rolled really well.
All right, Bryn, you're up first.
Another shot with my crossbow, I guess.
Very well. Same target.
Yeah. 15 to hit
15 hits.
for 6 points of damage.
Very nice. All right. It is the bear's turn. He charges towards the barn and immediately goes for the door, and he's going to try and break down the door. So he's going to make his attacks against it. Let's see. Okay, it's going to be... I think one of them actually misses it. Oh, no, it doesn't. So he hits the door. Sorry, I should have had all my dice ready now. I did a C.
Excuse you?
Okay. So he does 14, 18, 24, 28 points of damage total. Yeah, 28 points of damage as he just charges into the door and basically just smashes a massive hole in it. It's not quite big enough for him to fit through in his bear form, and he sort of gets like stuck in it slightly, and his like head and one front leg is in, and he's kind of bashing through it. And that's going to be his turn. Heath.
I think that was a Heath that got cut off there.
Oh, sorry.
It's my go.
It-
So did he bash through the door? Did like any of the traps go off and hit him? You know, the stuff falling on top of him, or
Not yet, because the door hasn't opened. But the door is kind of like it. You think it will go off in a moment.
okay, but there are holes in it.
Yes.
So there's the bear in front of me. What else can I see? Like out of my little porthole window.
You can see 3 wolves moving behind to kind of come around the back. You see the wolf that was with the bear kind of backing him up and like sort of just barking, like almost like barking encouragement at him. And the other wolf and the werewolf are sort of coming from the other side towards the front of the house.
Okay. The wolf that is backing him up, can I get a shot on him, do I think, through the door
Absolutely.
or something? Is he a burnt wolf?
Yes.
Okay.
There are 3 burnt wolves.
Three burnt wolves. It's a much grimmer children's rhyme. So if he hasn't acted yet on his turn, so I get advantage on the first turn versus
Awesome.
things that haven't acted, so I'm going to shoot him a lot, hopefully. And that's a 19 to hit, and I'll just roll the other one. That's 2 19 to hits. The only times I've hit so far have been an 11 on the dice. So because it is damaged, that is 13, 17 damage on the first hit.
Okay. So the first hit kills the wolf.
Okay.
So
I presume a 19 hits the bear, so
it does. So I imagine you just like aim, take a moment, and just fire, and it just goes straight into the head of the wolf and just kills it immediately, and it just slumps onto its side.
okay. I then do 11 damage to the bear.
11 damage to the bear. 11 slightly ineffective damage, it seems, as the bear's hide sort of rolls against the arrow that strikes it.
Sadness. Okay.
Quinn.
Quinn is first going to ask how many enemies can she get in a 20-foot radius at this point?
At this point, it's still 2.
Still 2?
You have the bear, you have the 2 wolves together, you have the 2 wolves together, you have the werewolf and the wolf together, and you have the wolf on his own.
All right, so the bear is stuck in the door, yes?
Yes.
So I kind of suspect that he might have a problem with making a dex save.
Correct.
So Quinn is going to step forward so that he's in like the edge of a 15-foot cone, and she's going to use her dragon's breath on him.
Okay.
as her bonus action.
He got a 7.
Okay, so that's a fail. And so he's going to take 14 points of fire damage.
Remember, you can choose the element of your choice. It can be
Yes,
fire.
I chose fire.
Okay. That's what I think
In
it's
the wooden barn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has a theme. So, yeah, she's going to Dragon's Breath the bear.
Yeah, and the bear, like... Oh, sorry, do you have another thing?
Yeah, and as like after she like expels like this breath of like fire, she's going to kind of like shimmer for a moment as she casts mirror image, and like 3 duplicates of herself will kind of like start filling the space as she like steps back into the barn proper.
Do you see the fur on the bear like burn away, and there's a horrible smell? And you see like pink blistered skin underneath as it like yanks itself back out the door and like roars in agony. As however, you do also see that the area around the door of the barn has caught fire, and flames are kind of licking up the sides of the door and up the walls, as this inordinate amount of heat is focused into such a small area so quickly. It's now the wolf's turn, and he sort of stalks around, kind of further to the side, watching the flames, and he is actually going to hold his action until a target leaves the barn, and he is going to just wait to see what he can see. As he assumes that the fires are going to drive everyone out. It is now the turn of the smaller wolves, and they are less intelligent. The 3 that go around the back are going to start scuffling to try and get in the windows. They're going to try and leap up. So they're going to make checks to try and get through. Okay. One of them fails miserably. Another one just fails. And then one of them is able to like kind of jump up and smash through the window that you had kind of left as an escape route, and is going to kind of like kick himself and is able to like scooch himself into the room, where he sort of lands down next to Bryn. That is going to be his turn though, as the last wolf is just going to wait next to the werewolf.
So one of them burst through
One of them's inside.
through the burning door, or through one of
through a window on the other side at the back.
We set up some spikes, remember?
That was for the holes in the ceiling.
Okay.
I don't know
Didn't
if
come
you...
through there. Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, if like, because the holes in the wall and ceiling is specifically what you said. Though I think it would be fair if you want to have set up spikes.
Well, I don't know how many
on the
windows
building.
or anything in this building. I was just trying to like.
I imagine there's 3,
It's
2
a
in the
kill
front,
thing.
1 in the back, or sorry, 4, 2 in the front, 2 in the back.
That's okay.
Okay. It doesn't really matter though, because it is Bryn's turn. So this wolf has just burst inside next to you.
I'm gonna stab it with my sword.
Go for it. You're gonna just drop your crossbow.
Yep.
Your sword.
That is 20 to hit.
20 hits. This wolf is not burned.
That is 12 points of damage.
Okay, you kill it. You just like step briefly to the side and just bring your sword down in a brutal arc that severs its connection to this life immediately. And it just like lets out this sort of whimper and collapses. Anything else on your turn?
Nope, that's pretty much what I was gonna do.
Nice. Okay, the bear is gonna roar and scream and charge the door again out of pure fury. Because he did so much damage last turn, he's gonna smash through it easily. setting off the trap and being burned a bit by the fire. So for the trap, I will have you each roll 1d6, and that will be the damage for it. And for the fire, I will roll an additional d8.
I got a 5 on my d6.
Okay.
I also got a 5.
I got a 2.
I also got 5.
Yay for community traps.
Yeah. So you see him just burst through, and there's this like clang as the iron pot kind of falls down off the top and like crushes in his skull basically. And he like shakes it off, and he doesn't look too bad. And the flames like singe and burn more of his fur and blister his skin, and it roars, and is gonna dash towards what's his name, Heath.
Not the girl that set him on fire. The tiny
I imagine
wayfish girl.
I imagine Heath is closer, maybe.
Possibly. You can go for me, it's fine.
Alright, fuck it, one for each of you.
Do it.
Yeah. Okay, he's gonna pull one of each of you. Okay, that's a natural 1 to hit Heath,
Yay!
and a 19 to hit Quinn.
Yeah.
Going to cast shield.
Okay.
As he comes in with the hit, and so that'll make her AC 21.
So he just like misses Heath on the kind of drive by, and then a claw just comes down for Quinn, and it looks like it's a vital strike that's going to slash right across her face. But she just like holds up a hand, and it just bounces off with this like of kind of glowing blue light or red light or fire or whatever her thing is.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe all three. And it just
Well, depending
roars
on
with
which
fury.
each duplicate is a different color.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. He should have. Had
No,
the
I rolled a 1, so he was aiming at me. So
Awesome.
shield.
Very well.
But I still have
He
3
did.
duplicates.
So Heath, it is your go.
So there is now an angry, burning, concussed bear in the burning bone house.
Yeah.
And there are 2 wolves prowling outside and a werewolf prowling outside.
There are 3 wolves prowling outside and a werewolf.
Right. Does the bear look particularly bad?
No.
Wonderful.
Any other questions?
I'm just assessing the situation.
No, I'm taking it.
Okay. I am just. Hunter's Mark doesn't make your attacks magical, does it? It just does additional damage in the form of what you did to it, right?
Correct?
Hunter's Mark.
Yeah.
Let me read for a second.
If you had a spell that would make your attacks magical, I should have taken magic weapon.
Well, I didn't know it would be necessary. Until the spell ends, you deal an extra 1d6 damage to the target whenever you hit the weapon attack. It doesn't actually say what damage type that is.
Then you can have that as magical.
Okay, that's nice. It is fairly magical. So I shall cast Hunter's Mark on Sibert, I guess, as being number 1. It's actually in combat with me right now, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So I guess, like one hand comes up and Hunter's Marks it, like his palm spreads, and there's like a sort of a natural wreath-like sort of sigil on it, and it glows, and then you see that sigil upon the forehead of the bear. And I made all of that up right now because I've like almost never cast Hunter's Mark. And then with the other hand is the bow is like gonna go over the shoulder, and in the same fluid motion he'll pull out his sword and begin thwacking with it.
Guess he really loves that sword.
So that will be. That's an 11, and that's 16.
Both hit.
Oh, cool. Though because I'm like not an elf, I don't think I. 1 second. No, it could be a martial weapon, but it wouldn't be dexter. Right. Cool. I just had to remember what I didn't particularly plan on using a sword, but then it got close. So, that is. Does this count as humanoid? Because you counted that before.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said I'd be generous.
Okay. Fair enough. That is 10 and 12 damage
Okay.
from the two swords. Oh shit!
Yeah, I need the hunter.
After all of that, I actually forgot the hunter's mark. So 10, 12 plus another 9 magic.
Okay. That's fine. Okay. So yeah, you see the sort of your strikes aren't cutting in as deeply as you want, but there is that sort of like wraith-like pattern on him that seems to be kind of damaging each time you hit him. Quinn.
Okay, so the bear's now up in her face, attacking her and attacking Heath. And so she's kind of going to seethe a bit as she still has like the dragon's breath going and exhale another breath. So that's another dex save from the bear. 15-foot cone. Oh, that's a sad amount of damage.
17.
That will pass. And so he's going to take half of 5.
Womp womp.
Wah, wah, wah. Well, one and a 3.
She just burps afterwards.
And
Wait. 1 and a 3.
a 1 and a 3.
Oh god.
On my if I had taken elemental mastery, I could have rerolled those ones. Anyways, but then for her action, she's going to hold up a hand, and the sound of a bell is going to fill the
Is that your action?
bonus action is Dragon's
Yeah,
Breath.
bonus action.
Action is Toll the
Okay.
Dead. So there'll be like Heath would have seen the Tess, and the Tess also included a bell, and so there's a bell that rings in the barn, and the bear needs to make a wisdom save.
I thought I'd also mention that Heath is staying away from the probably growing fire because he's very. He had the same thought as the werewolf, which
3.
this will drive us out.
What'd you say?
3.
Okay, so it's going to be 2d12. And I'm going to get much better, a 10 and a 6. So 16 points of necrotic damage. Is like this bell weakens the bear somewhat.
It's like joints begin to shake slightly, and its eyes like grow dark.
Yeah, and there's like a little bit of like it's not like healing her or anything, but like the like kind of shriveled skin around her scars kind of like puff up a little healthier looking as she casts it.
Yeah. Awesome.
And then she's going to is shield until the end of my turn, or is it reset? No, it's reset now. So yeah, she's gonna stay where she is with her duplicates.
Okay. Okay. It is the turn of the other wolf. And he, seeing his companion charge in so recklessly, is going to join him in an attempt to help protect him. So he's going to charge in. He's going to take the d8 damage from fire, which is 7. And he is going to charge in, followed by his wolf on the wolf's turn. And he is going to go in and immediately veer off to the other side, heading for Bryn. So Bryn does a 15, 19 hit.
Yes, a 19 hits.
22 hit.
Yes.
Okay. In which case, I need a
Ouch.
Constitution saving throw from you, please. I should take 4 piercing damage and 5 slashing damage. What was your save?
22.
Okay, you are fine.
How much damage was that again?
It
4
was
and 5?
4 and 5. And then on the turn of the wolves, his wolf comes in and joins him, immediately going for you as well. That wolf is kind of his buddy. And he has advantage because of pack tactics.
Mm-hmm.
So that is going to be, let me see, 20 to hit total.
Yes, that's a hit.
Okay, strength saving throw, please. Did you take 5 piercing from that wolf?
Natural 20 for a total of 27.
So the wolf like tries to pull at your leg that it bites into, but you just kind of kick it off. As for the other wolves, those two that are at the back are gonna come sprinting round the side, but they're gonna have to dash again. So they're gonna kind of just wait around outside to see what happens.
Sorry.
Yes.
I had to step away for a second. Did anything happen to Quinn?
No.
Okay.
It is now Bryn's go.
I'm gonna take a slash at that wolf.
The wolf or the werewolf?
The wolf.
Cool. This wolf is not burned.
19.
19 hits.
7 points of damage.
7 points. Very nice.
And then my second attack is gonna
Yep.
go towards the wolf. That's gonna be 22.
Hits.
And 12 points of damage.
Okay, you kill it. Again, just like slashing down, its corpse falls next to that of the one you killed before. Anything else on your turn?
I wanna try to do a shove attack
Okay.
on the other.
The
On
werewolf.
the werewolf, yeah.
Is that a bonus action?
It's when you take an attack
when you-
action. Yeah.
Cool.
It is a bonus action.
So, go for it. Is it?
It's just gonna be, yeah.
Oh, he crit. 22.
That's cool because I got a fucking 2, so I got a 9.
So you like go to push it, and it just doesn't move, and it's like mouth opens wide, and you sort of jump back.
Come on.
It's now the turn of the werebear. He's gonna jump, and he's gonna clamp down his jaw, or attempt to clamp down his jaw around the leg or torso of Gwyn here for a fucking crit.
Oh boy.
Oh, it's so sad he had a duplicate.
Crit, son.
He had a duplicate.
Yay.
No, I said. Oh, I did say Quinn. Oh shit, fair enough.
You did
Mm.
say Quinn. I think
Yeah.
from your description it sounded like you were going to go for me, but then you
Yeah.
said Quinn.
It was
Yeah.
for you, but I said Quinn, and I stand by that. Okay, so he just fucking eviscerates one of your.
Yep. And so like he pounces on the duplicate and starts mauling it, and it's the duplicate screams and goes up in a puff of smoke and or of mystical energy, and like Quinn herself kind of like shudders, and but yeah.
And he looks just furious and confused and kind of looks around. Heath. Am I cutting out again?
No.
Is it my
He's-
go?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear my name. Sorry.
It kind of sounds like he's going he and then like muting himself really fast. So.
Oh, weird.
Mhm.
Heath.
So how this bear is still, in close combat with me?
Yep.
Right.
Well, apparently not, but yeah.
There's no other wolves threatening me. Did the werewolf guy enter the burning?
Yes. And he
He's
took
also
7 damage for it.
okay. Very well. And there's not much of the doors left. I was
No.
just wondering about running out, closing the doors. I guess I'm going to continue to wail on this bear and hope something takes effect, at least for one more turn. Those are both hits. If the 11 hit previous.
Remember, Hunter's Mark separate.
Yep. I will do. I'll remember it separate. So the first sword does like 10 slashing and 3 Hunter's Mark. The second sword does 9 slashing and 3 Hunter's Mark.
Okay, the bear's looking pretty rough.
I am excited. Okay. I don't think there's anything I can really do. With my bonus, I'm just going to have a look. Nope. Nope. All good.
Alright.
Oh, shit. Colossus Slayer, which I can do once a turn.
Yes.
That's another 7 damage.
Oh, nice.
I should have had that last round, but I forgot.
Quinn.
Right. So another deck save from the bear.
Are you still breathing fire into
I
the
am
burning barn?
still yes.
15.
That will save. So he'll take half of that's much better. Take half of 14, so 7 points of fire damage.
Okay.
And so everybody's in the barn now, right?
Except 2 wolves.
Except for 2 wolves, but the werewolf and the bear are both in the barn, correct?
Correct.
All right. Are they within a 20-foot radius of each other?
Yes.
Okay. So for my action, Quinn is going to cast Fireball. And so like the duplicates or whatever are going to like, one is going to run in front of Heath and the other one is going to run in front of Bryn as I'll be using spell sculpting to let them automatically make the save and not take any damage from the fireball.
Yay!
But the wolf and the bear are going to need to make dexterity saving throws.
Natural 19, natural 17.
Son of a bitch. But they're still going to take 8d6. And that's not bad. It's 10, 29 points of fire damage.
But they take half because they saved, yes?
Yes.
And there were no wolves within that.
No. The only remaining wolves are outside.
Because the fireball does get like shoot out the windows and stuff. So if they're ready to jump, they might get burnt. Is all.
I mean, they are like waiting for you guys to come outside, so I don't think it's fair to hit them.
Okay.
Though I will say that this building is fucked now.
Yep.
The whole thing is up in flames. Everyone is going to start taking fire damage on their turn. Speaking of which, unless they're somehow immune or something.
Did it kind of like blow off any of like the barricades that we put up around the windows, like backdraft style? Like things went boom.
Sure.
Okay.
So speaking of which, it is the turn of the werewolf. He only takes 2 points of fire damage. And he is going to go for the jugular again on Bryn with single-minded fury. Okay, that's going to be a 17 and a 20 to hit.
The 20 hits.
Okay, the 20 is bite. So I need a Constitution saving throw. As you take only 5 points of piercing.
And the con save is a 21. Oh, excuse me, 22.
You're fine. And then that werewolf is going to try and run away. So you can have an attack of opportunity.
Sweet. Say 22 to hit.
22 hits.
And that is going to be 9 points of damage.
Okay. But the werewolf dashes back out the door. The wolves are going to hold their action until they receive, or until there is a target who comes outside for them to fight. Bryn, it is your go. You take 4 points of fire damage. As smoke and flames just lick around you, burning and singeing you. What would you like to do?
I think it's prudent if we get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to look for the nearest exit that I can make my escape from.
Okay, that would probably be the window behind you, which you are basically standing right next to.
All right, out the window.
Okay, that's mundane. You can just do it.
Can I move around?
You can, but you won't be able to move all the way around the house.
Yeah, I'm just going to start moving around the house just to
Sure.
be there.
Sure. Is that your turn?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, the bear will take his fire damage. 7 points. And he's going to try. He's going to use his action to disengage and go flying back out the door.
Fuck you.
And is going to turn and wait.
Quinn is going to make she's gonna follow him, with more fire forming in her hands.
So,
But obviously it's not her turn yet. But
yeah. He
Okay. I presume between where the bear went and where we are, there is lots of fire.
correct. You should take some damage before your turn. My apologies, sir. You take 8 points of fire damage.
How dare you actually damage me?
Oh, I apologize. I take it back.
Okay, it's gone. I'm joking. So I see that she's her one-mindedness, and I do like the whistle that was done before for follow me, and he kind of beckons, points out of one of the windows, so she doesn't just set herself on fire. I am going to burst forth from one of those windows into a combat roll, and while doing it, swapping to my bow, and then I'm going to shoot the wolves that were ready to attack me.
Dope.
So I'm going to shoot the first wolf. 18 to hit.
It's
17 to hit, possibly, actually. But these damaged wolf?
these are both burned, yes.
Sweet. That is 14 damage.
Kills it.
Sweet. Shoot at the next wolf. 16 to hit.
Hits.
Sweet. And that is 18 to hit. 18 damage, rather.
Kills it.
Sweet.
So you just fire off 2 shots and they embed straight in the wolves' heads and they just collapse.
And then he rolls to a standing position and looks like a badass.
Now there's only the 2 shifters remaining.
He's going to like start backing away from the exit that they took, so there's more distance. But he is also sort of waiting for
Yeah.
people to get out.
Quinn, is your turn.
How much fire damage does Quinn take?
She takes. Oh, yes. 15.
Jesus Christ! Everyone else is like, oh, 4, oh, 7.
Yeah, I mean, I
Quinn.
kept rolling ones.
You got 8. That's a lot
Yeah.
for fire. You set the barn on fire. Don't complain.
It's your fault.
You did this.
It doesn't seem fair somehow that I'm having to deal with the consequences
fair.
of my actions. And but yes, thanks to Heath's whistle, and she's going to not charge through the door after the bear, and is going to leap through the open window that Heath exited from, and going to have like fire ready as like she comes out the window, but at like the wolves are dying as she picks her way through, and so she's just going to hold on to a fire bolt for anybody
Cool.
else.
In which case, it is the wolf's turn. He drops his wolf form and turns back into a man, heavily burnt, scarred, and bleeding all over. And he sort of drops to his knees and just kind of looks up towards you, Heath, and you, Bryn. And he just kind of like clutches his chest and just says, "You have won. Give us a good death." And then like hangs his head like he's struggling to stay alive and fighting to kind of remain conscious. That's going to be his turn, which puts it to Bryn's turn.
So I'll move up to him. Just looking over him, does it look like he actually is?
Yeah, he's about to die.
All right, I'll give him a clean death then.
Very well. What does that look like?
Did he fall over, or is he still on his knees?
He's on his knees.
So I'll walk around and put the base of my sword at his neck, where his neck and his back, and just straight down.
Dope. The bear does not drop his form. He roars in fury and lunges at you, Bryn. He seemingly is not satisfied with a clean death. Oh yeah. That is going to be a 21 to hit and a 20 to hit, not natural.
Bonus action second win before that?
Yes, I did jump the gun, so yes.
Does he trigger my held action before he gets to her?
If you want, sure.
Yeah. As he like roars and like comes at Bryn, Quinn is going to fire off a firebolt, and that will be, it's 18 on the die. I think that hits.
Yep.
I'm gonna drop the D10 on the floor, so it doesn't count. I wish it counted. 7 points of damage.
7.
Yes, 7.
Lol. He remains alive
Oh, damn it.
with 1 hit point.
God damn it.
To deal
If I-
15.
If I had been able to... if I had taken that feat, that would have been a reroll on that one.
That's
Fine.
19 damage on the first one. And I need a con save. And 9 damage on the second one.
That is a 18 on the for con save.
You are fine. And but you do take 28 points of damage.
Ouch.
It is then Heath's turn.
Okay, so Heath puts away the goodberry that he was about to give the guy, and be a do-gooder, bring the guy back to life. Because apparently we're mean people.
Well, at least Bryn is.
He was gonna die.
But put the power of goodberries.
Fucking druid.
Rachel, but okay. So I guess it is fighting time. So I'm gonna fan out and like flank to one side, keeping a distance from the giant flaming raging bear creature, and I shall launch some arrows into him. 12 to hit and
12
10.
hits. You kill him. 12 misses. Oh, the 10 misses. But the first one will strike.
Does enough
through.
to kill him. So
He has 1 hit point.
as an arrow goes into him, and
He just drops, resuming his human form. You see like a big, kind of strong, tough-looking man with sort of like flash of red hair that runs long down his back. And he just sort of like grits his teeth up at you as he dies, like choking on blood.
So as I kill him, all the wolves are dead, right? Everything's gone.
Everyone's dead, Dave.
Sort of out of combat. If I look up, do I see that bird somewhere?
You do.
I turn. I use the animal. Speak to animals and say, "That was on them. I gave them a chance. Go back and tell your masters that we want none of this fight anymore."
It clicks its beak and wordlessly flies away. But you know it hurt you.
Yeah.
And there's like this look of kind of surprised respect in its eyes.
And then I loot the corpses.
They have nothing.
God damn it. I kick the corpses for not having anything.
They wake back up. No. So I'm just going to do a little bit of narration and then we'll end the session.
Can I do something real fast before?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Because Bryn is looking super bad. Quinn is going to, like, the flames are gonna die down, and she's gonna like walk up to Bryn and kind of place like both hands on your shoulders and say, "Here, you need this." And she's going to cast life transference. And so I roll 48, so this might kill me. Let's see. That's 11. Oh boy, that's 16, 17 points of damage to Quinn. But Bryn is going to heal for 34.
Damn.
Woo!
So Quinn now has
So Quinn drops to her knees and like heavy breathing and sort of pain and
yeah, and like the marks along like her face have kind of like deepened and darkened a bit, and she's like breathing heavy
like
and
digging into her face.
Yeah.
Okay. So the three of you make it back to Boulogne. And from what you're told, you're the first ones to do so, perhaps the only ones.
Mm-hmm.
You are grabbed as soon as you arrive and near enough dragged up to the castle. You are brought into the throne room and thrown at the feet of the man who sits in the chair. A tall, gaunt, pale figure with these long ears and this black kind of greased hair. And he sort of looks down his nose at the three of you tell me what happened, he says, and then we'll end the sesh there.